Hi, I'm Cliff, and this is my garage, and I'm getting ready to take the Cayman out on the track. Hey, welcome back to the garage. And if this is your first time joining me, thanks for dropping by. In the next couple of weeks, I'll be doing my first HPDE. Today, I just want to walk through what HPD is and what I'm doing to get ready for it. I bought my first Porsche Cayman 2 years ago, and soon after discovered HPDE. I wanted to do one right away, but it just never worked out. But now I'm finally doing my first one at the Florida International Rally and Motorsports Park, also known as the Firm, a little racetrack with a big name in the thriving metropolis of Stark, Florida. If all goes well, I'm going to continue with other HPDEs later this year at tracks like Daytona, Sebring, and Road Atlanta. When I was setting up this video, I decided the best format might be a series of questions that I had as I've been getting ready for this HPDE thing. What is HPDE? First of all, what exactly is HPDE? Well, some people use the acronym to mean High Performance Driving Event, but generally it means High Performance Driver Education. And that's the emphasis of most of these events. It's not racing, nobody is competing, and there are no official lap times, and there are no prizes for whoever's fastest. Instead, the idea is that you learn how to drive the limits or to the limits of your skills and your car's abilities in a safe and structured manner. This is different from an open track day where you just show up and drive. Who will I be on the track with? Drivers are broken up into 3 or 4 run groups according to your experience level. I, of course, am going to be in the lowest group called novice. You'll be on the track with only other drivers of your same experience. Then you'll come off the track for a while as the other groups have their turn. How do I learn to drive? Generally, the novice group always has an instructor riding with you, and it's an option for other groups. However, even though Florida isn't in much of a COVID panic, this HPDE is going to be one done over the radio. Actually, the car stereo radio. I think the way they're going to do it is that I'll be following an instructor in another car and we'll go around, I'll follow him around the track. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to be one on one or if multiple drivers will be following the same instructor in a line. It's really not clear from the materials I've gotten so far. From what I've seen, the Porsche High Performance Driving School in Alabama does it this way, so I'm sure it'll be fine. What kind of car is required? That depends on the HPDE. Some are sponsored by specific mark organizations, and only that mark can run. For example, my first HPD is sponsored by the Florida Thoroughbred region of the Porsche Club of America, and it's limited to just Porsches. Most mark affiliated HPDEs, however, seem to be open to any mark, or they give priority to their mark during like the initial registration period, with it being open to everybody else after a certain date if there are slots left open. Actually, I think now that I think about it, I think there is one Miata that showed up at the last minute in the roster for this HPDE, so I guess they're doing it the same way. Many HPDEs, however, are completely open. You can bring anything you like, although I've seen them specifically exclude trucks and SUVs. You do not need a high-end sports car or even a low-end sports car. You definitely don't need a special built for the track car. You can bring your bone stock Honda Accord if you like. And from what I hear, people will be happy to see you there, even in a bone stock car. Apparently, it's a pretty welcoming and friendly community. When do HPDEs happen? Almost every HPD event that I've taken a look at has been a 1 or 2 day weekend event. And even here in Florida, they don't seem to happen during the winter, only like March through September, or here in Florida, I've actually seen them all the way up into December.
Where do you sign up?
In my case, I got an email announcing the HPDE because I'm a Porsche Club of America or a PCA member, and that email had a link to clubregistration.net, where you can search for and register for all kind of HPDE and other similar events. You can look like I believe dates and also a certain area or mileage from where you're at. Another popular one is motorsportreg.com, and there are companies that specialize in organizing HPDEs, such as Hooked hookedondriving.com. And I'll give you links to all of this stuff that I'm mentioning down in the video description below.
How much does it cost?
It varies a bit, but a 1 day event is typically around $300 and a 2 day is $400 to $500. Now, if you're in a mark club like PCA and they sponsor an HPDE, it's usually considerably cheaper, assuming, of course, you're a member of that organization. For instance, my 1 day event with PCA is only $170. However, keep in mind that's only the entry fee. There are a number of other costs, especially if it's your first time. Now, you might need, for example, have your brake pads changed out and the brake fluid flush. Uh, PCA requires, for instance, that you have at least 3/8 of an inch of brake pad left, and that the brake fluid has been flushed out and replaced within the last year, preferably with a high performance race type brake fluid. Many HPDEs also require you to have a technical inspection during or done by a certified mechanic. They provide you with a checklist the mechanic must run through, with things like checking for cracked wheels, cracked coolant hoses, ensuring that your doors open easily, both from the inside and the outside. A mark affiliated club may arrange for the local dealer of that mark to do it very cheaply or even for free if you're bringing that mark. But if you're not local or you're entering a completely different mark, this inspection may cost $50 to $100, maybe a little more. You'll probably need to buy a helmet, which starts at about $200. Keep in mind that auto racing requires a special application or SA rated helmet with a certification typically less than 10 years old. For example, in 2021, you need an SA 2015 or 2020 helmet. An SA 2010 is generally no longer acceptable. Also, note that a motorcycle or ATV helmet is not going to be allowed. Those are like M rated and something else. Bottom line, it has to be SA rated. On a side note, most HPDEs do have helmets for rent, but they may not have your size. And quite frankly, the idea of sticking my head into a helmet that multiple other people have spent many hours sweating into is kind of gross. Other costs you may incur are other maintenance items like new tires, either before or after the HPDE. And then there's insurance.
Will my insurance cover an accident?
From what I understand, on course car to car collisions are very, very rare. It's far more likely that you'll wreck your car by simply losing control because you're going too fast, or a car spills oil or coolant all over a curve right before you get there. But from what I understand, that's also apparently pretty rare. That being said, it's almost absolutely certain that your insurance does not cover an HPDE. My insurance policy, for example, excludes any damage incurred while the car is on any surface designated for or designed for racing, and specifically excludes high performance driver training or education. Luckily, it is possible to purchase insurance specifically for an HPDE. Lockton, RLI, and Haggerty seem to be the big three in this area, although there are some others. The cost and coverage seems to be virtually the same for each. In fact, as I recall, Haggerty actually uses RLI to underwrite their policies. From what I've seen, the cost is the same regardless of the organizer or the location. And in addition to HPDE, you can get coverage for competitive racing, although it's, of course, more expensive. The major factor in the insurance cost for an HPDE is the value of your car and the value of any modification. What's interesting is that mods are pricier to insure than the car. For example, to insure a $40,000 stock car is less than, for example, a $30,000 car with $10,000 in mods. I'm not sure why that is. All that being said, the quotes I've gotten from the three companies I mentioned for my $45,000 Cayman with a 15% deductible are right at $270 for a single event up to 3 days.
Is it worth it?
I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'm certainly looking forward to it, and I'll be surprised if I don't have a really good time and start doing this on a regular basis. I'm going to be doing a whole series of videos on what I'm doing to get ready, and of course, lots of video from the actual track day. Now, be sure to go down there and click on the subscribe button to be kept up to date on all this stuff that's happening. And while you're at it, be sure to click on that thumbs up button and give me a like on this video so YouTube will suggest it to other people. And if you want to keep up with everything I'm doing here in the garage, including a slew of modifications, performance mods for the Cayman, as well as upgrades to the garage itself and other DIY projects I'm working on around the house, go click on that bell icon. That turns on notifications for this channel, and that way YouTube will let you know every time that I post a new video from here in Cliff's Garage. I'll see you next time.